Are you killing your RV?
This week on the StressLess Camping RV Podcast, we offer tips for routine RV maintenance so you can avoid killing your RV.
Checklists make for stressless camping.
We also tell you about a Kansas City barbecue we tried out.
We have this week's podcast along with the notes and all the stories that go with this episode, along with deals, discounts, helpful tips, and more at our home on the web at StressLessCamping.com.
Don't forget to like and share, and thank you for joining us on our weekly RV podcast adventure.
I'm Peggy.
And I'm Tony.
And those are the bears.
Yeah, the bears.
And we are two RV industry veterans who travel part-time
in a small trailer,
looking to share big adventures and help you with great tips,
tricks,
and discounts.
Absolutely. Towing has
been, it seems like it's been in the forums a lot lately.
Oh boy,
I mean, it always is, but it just seems like it's been even more this past week. So we wanted to kind of remind there's a towing page on StressLessCamping.com.
Yeah. Tell me, Mo, about what I can tow.
Yes, that should be what it's called. People do ask, what can I tow? And it is so dependent on actual numbers that there's no right answer. There's no answer that can be written in a generic form.
That's the fact, right? Jack. Yeah.
What can I tow or what can I tow with? It all depends on those stickers on the side of the RV and the truck. And it doesn't matter if he tows with the F-250 or, it just...
Yeah.
It all depends on what the numbers say.
So the cool thing about our towing resource is that there is a towing calculator, so you can plug in your actual numbers.
Yes.
And know what you can tow, so you don't tow slow no mo. Okay. You done with that? Hey, I'm a poet, and I want everybody to know it, even the bears.
The bears. So once you have the right vehicle for towing, there are some other ways to make sure that you don't kill your RV.
Yeah, which, hopefully keeps you happy, healthy, and I don't know what. And stressless. That's
stressless, yeah. So what we thought we would do is we have on our website a maintenance page. Well, I guess we have a checklist page. I'm not sure. It's probably in both places.
Yeah. By the way, we do have a whole bunch of checklists that you can download and customize for your own needs, because checklists make for stressless camping.
Indeed.
So we thought we'd kind of go back over our routine maintenance page, because when I was working at the dealership, a lot of the RVs that came in that were used, that were only a few years old, had enough lack of maintenance in simple things that there was enough damage that really caused us to have to lower the value of those. And as we may be considering a trade-in of our own RV, it just kind of came to the forefront.
Right. So we'll kind of cluster this, kind of what you should do every trip.
It's a cluster.
The maintenance that you should do on every single trip, the maintenance you should do sort of quarterly or seasonally and annually. I feel like there's another one in there. Monthly. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, you can. If you're like, okay, I'm done with these guys, you can go and download the checklist.
That's right. If you don't want to listen to us anymore.
And another thing you can add, if there are specific, like let's say you see the checklist and you're like, oh, I need to add engine stuff because you have a drivable.
You're right.
Or I need to add canvas stuff because you have a pop. Whatever.
Something specific to you.
Yeah, they're all editable. Ooh, that's hard to say.
Right. So what we did is on the website, we made files that are in, I think you took out, they're
Apple Pages.
There's a PDF, I think, version. There's a Google document. So you can open it the way that you like to work, and then you can edit it. Now, please don't ask us if you can edit our document, because the answer is going to be no.
Yeah, we get a lot of requests from people who are like, oh, I can't edit the Google Doc. Not the
No.
original, because that would defeat the purpose.
That would change it for everyone.
But you can copy it to your own Google Drive,
Exactly.
and you could paint it purple if you want.
Right.
So
let's talk about what we should do every single time we
hitch up
and go in the RV.
Yeah. Well, most important, in my opinion, is to, just walk around your RV and give it a good once over. Make sure you don't see any really obvious issues, but start at the bottom, work your way up. Look at your tires, like inspect the tires, and make sure that the tire pressure is set correctly. And I get a lot of people who go, oh, well, the tires say I can inflate them to whatever the number is. I prefer using the placard on the side of the RV or in the door or wherever it is on your RV, because that's based on the weight expectation of the RV and designed in by the engineers who designed your RV.
Right.
So check your tires and tire pressure.
Now, ideally, you'll have tire pressure monitoring system.
Oh, yes.
And if you don't, you can do that aftermarket very, very easily. There are systems that will just thread onto the I know there's a word for it.
The valve stem.
The valve stem.
Gosh.
And then we have like ours are actually built into the tires themselves, and then we have a monitor inside the cab of the truck that we can monitor the pressure.
Yep.
That's a super, super, I think, a very important add-on, if you don't already have it, is to get some kind of a tire pressure monitoring
I couldn't agree more.
for yourself.
And a good one will also measure temperature, because if you see a big increase in temperature, something ain't right.
Right. Also check the roof, especially if your slide happens to be out. If you're going to put it in so that you can be on the move, make sure there's nothing on the roof of the slide. Make sure there's nothing on the roof of the trailer that's, going to cause extra scratching or poke a hole in it or anything like that. So check around for debris on the roof and on the slide roof.
Yeah, and I think I've shared with you my lazy way of doing this. I stick a GoPro on a stick, and look around the roof, and then I have ongoing video of if there's a noticeable change or difference. I can refer back to old videos that I've shot. I also look at the air conditioner, because sometimes branches and twigs and stuff get into that. So debris, once you've hooked up according to whatever your procedure is, check all of the lights on your towable and your vehicle. Make sure the brake lights work, the running lights work, the turn signal. I know some of you
don't know what turn signals are.
Certain parts of the country don't know what the turn signal is, but it should work.
Look it up on YouTube.
Yeah, you can look it up on YouTube.
And this is not only to make sure that your 7-pin is connected correctly, and that will ensure that your trailer lights are working, but also in case any of those bulbs have burned out. It might tell you everything is working fine, but if one light is burned out, you may not know it.
That's true.
Do they still have, like, on vehicles? This is going to show I don't pay much attention to things. If a light is burned out or burning out, like the flasher will flash faster or something like that. Yeah, it should indicate,
yeah.
But
I don't know if it does on the trailer.
7-pin.
Yeah, I don't know. So there you go. And then once you're hooked up, look at everywhere where you are hooked up. Safety chains, make sure that those are in place. Make sure the 7-pin is seated. And, something I like to do periodically is with this deoxit contact cleaner, spritz the 7-pin, because those contacts do get dirty. So it's something I do. I look at it and kind of spritz it.
You know what we don't have written on here, and that's why you always forget. Make sure you hook up the trailer brake. Oh, it always seems to be the step you forget.
Oh, yeah. The emergency brake. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I have a mental block against hooking that doggone thing up. But yeah, your emergency brake, the ball, sway bars, however you have your rig set up, and then just give it a second inspection just to be sure. If that comes loose, you want the safety chains to go under and catch it. So there's a lot of redundancy built into that, but you want to make sure the redundancy is there.
Now, when you get to camp and you set up your trailer or your RV and you've put out your slides or whatever, kind of look around again. This is a thing that you should do every single time. Make sure screws haven't come loose. If you find one on the floor, try to figure out, this is a big puzzle, figure out where it came from. Our microwave
That's
screws
funny. I was
tend
just
to back
thinking
out.
that. Yep.
In the stove, we've had screws back out. Not currently, but in the hinges of a couple of our cabinet doors. So just kind of, these are routine maintenance things. These are not what a crappy build. Okay.
The roads are pretty rough.
Exactly. These roads are rough. And so, screws don't back out in your house, but your house isn't in a whirlwind earthquake for 4, 5, 6 hours at a time.
Yeah.
So just kind of check, make sure that there aren't any, when your water system's on, make sure there aren't any leaks underneath your faucets. We actually use... We actually use, and the brand I don't think is all that important. Ours happened to be Top Vico
Ooh,
brand.
that famous brand.
It's a water sensor, so it has a little sensor on the end of a wire, and then a battery operated, really noisy little siren thing to wake you up at 4:30 in the morning. Not that we've experienced that. If there's any kind of a leak. So you put this down on the floor, below your faucets, below your drains, below your water heater. And then if there is any kind of a leak, the alarm will start screeching at you.
It's so loud.
And then you will know to check. But also just kind of look and make sure that if you have your sensors, that they're in the right place and they're going to notice if there's any water. So just kind of give the trailer or give the RV, the once over and make sure that everything looks like it is where it's supposed to be.
Yeah. All right.
Because if you don't, if you don't do it every single time, it gets worse and worse. And all of a sudden you come in and your stove's laying on the floor or something.
And we've seen that happen too. Not to us.
Not to us.
We know someone, their stove literally fell out.
Yeah.
So
just keep
check
an
those
eye.
screws.
Yeah.
Make sure that you, unlike me, don't have a screw loose.
He's got several. So let's move out a little bit. We've done those things every single month, or every single
journey, yep.
So that we know, that might be every single month. It might be the same thing. Now let's go maybe kind of seasonally, every 3 months or something. You want to get up on the roof, or get up near the roof with a ladder, or
get your GoPro,
on a stick and check all the breaches in the roof, all the places where there might be sealant that might be drying out or might have a hole or might have shriveled up and left a gap. Anywhere that there might be a possibility of water getting in on the roof.
Yeah, and the way the majority of RVs work, there's a rubber-like, it can be PVC, it can be EPDM, but whatever, it's like a rubber membrane that they put over whatever they use to build the roof. And then wherever there's a hole, like for a vent or air conditioner or whatever, they put sealant around there to keep the water out, right? But that rubber tends to last a very long time. It can last for decades.
The actual roof.
Yeah, the actual roof. And that's, a lot of times you see the lifetime guarantee. And that is that EPDM or PVC or whatever that material is.
But that's the roof material. That is not the holes that they put in the roof for all those accessories.
Right. So all that, all of the sealant that they put around the holes are considered a maintenance item and typically have L0 guarantee-o. So that is on you to keep. And this is where we saw RVs come back in that were relatively new, that had water damage, and that just is really bad. So check all of the areas where there's that sealing. It looks like someone squished a bunch of toothpaste.
It does.
And check all of those regularly to make sure that it's not drying or cracking and I've seen people go, well, how long would it last? I've seen it last years without being touched. We had our first mini light. We had it 5 years and never
We
had
never
to
had
reseal
anything.
it.
Yeah.
And that was in the California sun. I've seen where some of these rigs, after 3 months, it starts to crack. There's so many variables of roads and weather and which Elvis song you're listening to and all of this other stuff.
Potentially the weather or whatever when it was installed too, right? If it dried
potentially,
differently
sure.
or something.
Yeah. And how well it was put, like
Right.
maybe the installer was having a fight with his spouse or something. I don't know. But anyway, yes, check all of those seals and know what the replacement sealant is. So if you do have to either add more or just replace it, you'll know what's appropriate based on the roof material and also, oddly enough, on where it is on the roof. So,
and you can find that from your manufacturer, and it's not going to be one product. It's probably going to be 3 or 4 different things depending on where it's located. So that's the roof, but also check the walls. You want it, the side walls, the outside walls, where there are marker lights, where there are windows,
baggage doors,
baggage doors,
vent panels, all that.
Yeah, where the vents open for the heater and the refrigerator and the furnace and the vent fan, all those
Speakers.
places. Yeah, everywhere that there is a cut in the wall, you want to make sure that seal is still good.
Yeah, and that's what got me. When I was just a young new RV owner, I didn't know. I figured those marker lights had a rubber gasket behind them and didn't need to have the seal checked, and that's where we did experience water intrusion.
We did, indeed.
I was wrong. Now I know better.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so what about below decks?
I would always look at the chassis where the suspension is mounted to the chassis. Look at the chassis itself to make sure it's not rusting. Because you can mitigate. If it's starting to paint's flaking off, or you can mitigate that before it becomes a serious issue. Check the suspension. Some of them have greasable bolts. Some of them don't. And that's something to know. Check the springs, all of the things that keep the RV off the road, basically. So where the springs are attached to the frame, axles, tires, wheels, lug nuts, all of that stuff. If it's between the road and your RV, just know what it looks like. And here's a tip: when you first get your RV, you could take a picture of all of that stuff, and go back and reference it and go, well, that's funny, tires didn't used to look like that, or whatever it happens to be.
Oops.
So yeah, that suspension and the brakes are very, very important. Also, there are wires to the brakes. Make sure to check those, that they haven't come loose, because sometimes they'll catch and you'll have one side where there's no brakes.
That's
and
not
it might,
good.
yeah,
Then you'll be doing donuts.
Yeah, that's
whether
right.
you want to or not.
You'll be going in circles. So
now we have on here to check the tanks, and that used to be easy with our first travel trailer because it didn't have that underbelly. But can I check the tanks in a trailer with an underbelly?
Oh, you could, but you can really look for signs of bulging or anything like that. Or look for, all those underbellies are vented in some way. So look for maybe some water leaking out or something like that. If there's a leak in where they're attached, or if one of the tanks has become damaged, you'll know it. It'll be pretty obvious.
Okay.
But one thing I've seen a lot is the tanks kind of bulging, because some of them are just dropped between the frame rails. It just depends.
Sure.
Also, all of your sewer connections and all of that, you can really easily replace those gate valves in the sewer. So if it leaks, just a wee bit when you first open it, it's very easy to replace that gate valve. Or you can just put a secondary one on.
How about replace it with something that's easier to pull the
Well,
bars out?
we saw Dometic has a new power gate valve,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we're pretty tempted by that thing.
Well, I wouldn't even need it to be powered, but it's like you have to reach so deep in and pull to the side, and I
Yeah.
don't have that kind of strength. So anyway, that's not really a maintenance item. That's just a gripe that I
That's a
have
gripe.
about dumping.
And it's a good one.
But included in the water systems and appliances, you want to make sure that, as Tony said, look for any kind of leaks under the tanks or in the dump station, but also where your appliances vent outside or are connected wherever, you want to make sure of that. So a 12-volt refrigerator doesn't have this, but if you have still got a gas refrigerator, you're going to want to open that back vent and look for bugs or signs of rodents or insects or
Yeah.
anything. Make sure you clean out any debris and dust, because there's a fire back there. There's a flame. That's how it works. And if you've got spider webs and dead bugs and things like that, they're going to catch fire, and that is not going to smell good
No.
for one thing.
No, but also
and it's not going to be a good situation.
Right, that could be a problem. So check to look on things that have flames, like the furnace and the water heater. How cleanly that flame. If it's got a lot of black soot, then it might need adjustment. So just open the back of any compartment door that has an appliance and just look at it and make sure everything looks good, and keep it kind of vacuumed out or cleaned out. They all collect dust and dirt over time, and the cleaner they are, the better they run.
Yep.
That's true of the air conditioner too. And most air conditioners have a set of filters you can change. Well, not even change. A lot of them, it's a
clean.
plastic filter that you can
Yep.
just rinse out.
Yeah, and so you'll want to take the covers off the inside of the air conditioner, and right behind that is the filter. And like Tony said, you can maybe vacuum it, you can rinse it out in the sink or out in the hose and clean up that filter, because it's going to make it less smelly, for one thing, right? That filter is actually picking up all the dust and everything. And if you just leave it there, then it's just going to keep recycling that
Well,
dust.
eventually it becomes less efficient.
Right,
too.
and then it has to work a lot harder to get air in because your filter is clogged up.
Yeah, yeah. Another thing some people do, and there's no harm in doing so, is sanitize your fresh water tank.
Right.
And we, I believe, have instructions on how to do that, which we'll put. There's going to be show notes, including links to this. So we'll put a link to that in our show notes, which on YouTube or down below. If you listen on audio podcast, you can tap over to a link on our website that has links to the show notes. So we try to make it as easy as possible to find these show notes. But they're there, trust me, unless I forget.
Something else to do seasonally or quarterly is if you have flooded batteries. Now, if you have lithium batteries, this is kind of not doesn't need to be on the list. But if you have flooded batteries, those, the ones that you have to put water in, check and make sure there's water in.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are some simple, just again, these are not overly complicated things that you can do, but by gosh, it makes a difference in how long your RV is going to last. All right.
Seasonal. So let's talk first about, because it's almost that time for some of us, for some of you, winterizing, right? At the end of the camping season, a lot of people are in a place where they need to, some people like us, we just park it, but some people really have to make sure that it's safe for being in that freezing winter temperature.
We did have to winterize.
Well, we did.
We did. That was sad.
We had to winterize 2 or 3 times because we didn't stop camping.
I know. We winterized. Hey, let's go camping. Winterized. Hey, let's go camping.
So the good news is that means winterizing isn't that hard to do.
Oh, it really isn't.
Right? But you want to make sure you do all the steps. And one of the important things is to get all of the water out of the RV. That means open the low point drains, check the valves on the water heater. Some people like to blow compressed air through the system, and that will blow the air out.
The water.
I'm sorry, the water will blow the air out. That'll blow the water
It'll
out.
blow some air out too.
Of the like kind of fresh system and the drains, right? Because you've got a P-trap and that's got some water in it, and you might not want to leave that to freeze. And that might be enough if you don't have super, super freezing. But if you have super, super freezing, you might need to pump some antifreeze through the system and make sure that you really get all the water out.
Yeah. We have a full winterizing guide, which you will see if you are watching here.
Ding.
And if you are listening, it's written in the show notes how to get to that. Something that a lot of people don't do is put a little bit of gasket oil on the toilet seal.
Right. So your toilet's going to sit dry for however long you're not camping, and that rubber seal that's, at the bottom of the bowl can dry out. Now that, I guess that's not that hard to change. We haven't ever had to do that.
Not. Although it's more difficult on the Thetford than on the Camco.
But you may not have to do that if you keep it oiled. So we just have some spray coconut oil that smells like pineapple. So it's like a pina colada in there.
Ooh, it's a toilet colada.
And we just spritz a little bit of that oil. You want to make sure that you're not using
petroleum oil.
Thank you. Oh, I couldn't think of any kind of petroleum-based oil because that will just eat that gasket away.
Oh, yeah, you don't want that.
But you do want to try not to let that thing dry out. But if it dries out and you find out next season that your toilet is not holding water, you can just change that gasket.
Also, if you are winterizing, but don't forget to get the antifreeze through the toilet valve. We've seen a lot of, I remember, back when I was selling RVs, I would sell so many toilet valves as the season starts, because that's the one thing a lot of people forget about. So don't forget it.
Right. The other thing is you're going to want to open your water heater and let the water out of there. And at that time, if you have the kind of water heater that has an anode rod, look at the anode rod. Now, you don't have to replace the anode rod every year.
Oh,
you might have to if the water that you've been using has eaten away at that anode rod. But we're going to die on this hill. You do not have to change it every year if it hasn't been corroded to the point of needing change.
Right.
You can use that thing until it's almost just
what looks
a metal
like a
coat hanger.
Yeah.
Right? And so, sure, it's not that expensive. But on the other hand, why spend the money and why waste the landfill space on something that didn't need to be replaced?
Right. We saw an RV tech who said, oh, yeah, you have to replace this every year. See, this is why I get nervous about some of the advice people hear.
Right, right.
And you will have removed that. If your water heater even has an anode rod, you will have removed that to get the water out of the water heater. So, also,
put it in a safe place so you don't forget where it is next season.
Yeah.
We just leave it right there in the cabinet, just laying in the water heater cabinet in the back.
Battery protection depends on what type of batteries, but know what to do. In some cases, like one of the things I really like about lithium batteries is you charge them and just ignore them.
Right.
You don't have to put them on a trickle charger. They can exist in sub-freezing temperatures. You just can't charge them in sub-freezing temperatures. Right. But you're not charging them anyway if
you're not using them.
If your RV is just sitting there. So.
Yeah. Look at all the entry points. And this is like such a fear of mine, and fortunately it has never happened, but if you're leaving your RV sitting for a significant amount of time and you're not checking it, maybe you've got it under a cover and you can't get in it to check it. I do not want to come back in the spring and find out that rodents or, the odd spider, I don't care, but rodents.
That odd spider with 7 legs.
I can't even talk about this. I am so irrationally terrified of rodents.
Oh,
that I want to make sure they never come in. Now, one great way to find out is to wait until dark and then close everything up, turn on all the lights in your RV, close everything up, and go outside and get underneath and go around and see if any light is leaking out of the RV. If light can get out, a mouse can get in.
Oh boy.
So
We
you want to
also
seal
we
all
have
that stuff up.
yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean
That's
to interrupt.
okay.
We
I'm
also
like,
have
what?
a link in our show notes and right here to our something that has really worked well for us, and that's the Grandpa Gus rodent repellent, and we have a link to that in our show notes.
Now, I know we have plenty of rodents where we live.
Oh, do we ever?
And fortunately, like I said, we've never had a problem here in our trailers. So I'm gonna, I'm gonna credit both making sure we have no place for them to get in, but also the Grandpa Gus. And honestly, even if the Grandpa Gus isn't needed, I like the smell.
It is. It
It's
smells
cinnamon
good.
and peppermint, and it reminds me of the holidays. And I'm fine with putting Grandpa Gus packets whether I need them or not.
Okay. All right. Finally, our annual checklist things. And this is something, some of you are great DIYers. Oh, I know some of you are really good at it. Some of you are somebody else wire or somebody else whatever.
No.
Someone let someone else do it.
DDI. Don't do it yourself.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't DIY. Yeah, okay, I like that. I'll buy that. And that's to have things like the wheel bearings, brakes, axles, all checked, and some of them have maintenance procedures that need to be done. Like wheel bearings, we have the wheel bearings on this trailer serviced annually, and the way we do that is we take it to a dude, but they pull the wheel off and open up the wheel assembly and clean and re-grease the bearings, because we like that, because if they pull the wheel assembly or if they pull the brake drum off to do this, they can also inspect the brakes.
Correct.
Now, if we, like last year when we had it done, they're like, oh, there's barely any wear on your brakes. We wouldn't feel uncomfortable about just greasing the bearings in the simple, like a lot of them have a provision to just put new grease in. Because there was so little wear last year, I wouldn't feel uncomfortable, but always best practice to have that just disassembled and cleaned and checked.
If in doubt, check it out.
Yeah, that's right. So, and just again, back to looking at for rust or any frame damage or any other signs of wear that are uncomfortable. So that's like your once a year. And again, you're still going to go around and check all your seals and lights and all of that. So, it's not a huge amount of stuff, but it sure will make a difference in how long your RV lasts.
So as a reminder, these checklists are available on an article called Checklists Make for Stressless Camping, and we will, of course, put the links to that. Also, very recently, Lippert sent out an article about how to grease a trailer axle.
Yeah, Lippert and Dexter both have good articles and videos about this if you're a DIYer. You save a decent amount of money by DIYing it, doing it yourself. So, we will put a link to that article and the video that Dexter put out in the show notes.
Okay. One thing that we mentioned when we were talking about checking your batteries and maintaining your batteries, lithium batteries, you don't gotta.
Yeah, there's no routine maintenance whatsoever with lithium batteries. And contrary to popular belief, they can withstand sub-freezing temperatures, but again, you can't charge them, but you can use them down to, depends on the battery, but down to sub-freezing temperatures. And so that's another reason we love our power system from ABC Upfitters.
Yeah, just so we have one less thing to look at on our
it's
routine maintenance
one fewer
list.
maintenance point, and it just, in fact, right now we are boondocking as we record this and using our power system.
Indeed.
And it's all Master Volt components, which are marine grade components. They come out of the marine industry. So if you're on your fancy yacht, you really have no tolerance for these systems failing. And they tend not to. They're very well designed. ABC Upfitters does a great job configuring and installing these systems. So if you've been thinking, I need to do more off-grid camping, or just want a battery system that doesn't require a bunch of maintenance and fiddling and worry, the folks at ABC Upfitters will listen to you. They will check what your style of camping is and build a system from mini to mighty that's right for you.
So give them a call. That's ABC Upfitters at 574-333-3225, or check out their website, ABC Upfitters. Now it's probably .com. It's probably gonna want to self-correct to Uplifters. It's not Uplifters, it's Upfitters.
Yeah,
ABC Upfitters.
Or just, there's a link in the show notes directly to them. Well, we are coming to you from Kansas City.
That's right.
Kansas City, here we are.
We are at a Boondockers Welcome site, and when we got here, our host mentioned that his favorite Kansas City barbecue is available just up the street, and it's a place called Zarda.
Mm-hmm. And Zarda has all the... So here's something, I don't know where I got this from, but I always thought Kansas City barbecue was the mustardy, more vinegary barbecue sauce, but it ain't.
Nope.
It's the traditional, sweet ketchup-based sauce.
I think you're thinking of South Carolina barbecue.
Yeah, I think so. So anyway, no, it's your traditional barbecue, and something that's very popular here, or something the area is known for, is something called burnt ends, which is sort of the end piece of, is it pork? I guess so, right? Pork or beef?
I think it's, I don't know.
I don't either. And yet we
we'll
ate
have to go back and get more and find out.
To go back.
Sorry, everybody from Kansas City who's screaming at us right now. Like, what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you guys?
All we know it was delicious.
It was definitely meat. Beef.
It was definitely meat.
It was definitely meat. Yeah.
They don't have burnt tofu ends hardly anywhere.
Oh gosh. Yeah. That's just wrong. And now the tofu people are mad at us. But this is Zarda's. It was okay. We got sliced brisket. We got a combination.
Things, yeah.
We got a lot of things. We got sausage, brisket, burnt ends, ribs, and chicken. And they have beans that have the burnt ends in them too. Oh, and we got these fried corn
nuggets. Yeah. Now the interesting thing to me was the sausage. I thought there would be, some big links that maybe were cut in half or thirds. It was super thinly sliced. So they were kind of big around, maybe 2-inch diameter sausages, but very thinly sliced. And that was an interesting way of serving it to me.
Yeah.
It was a new way for me.
Well, and the brisket
that
too,
was good.
other than the burnt ends.
Yeah.
The burnt ends were cubes of
chunks,
meat.
Yeah.
The beans I thought were really good. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It was, I've had better, but I've had worse.
But it was certainly convenient.
Oh, it was very convenient. And it was tasty.
And as soon as we're done here, we're going to go get something from somewhere else. So we have something to compare to.
Absolutely. So anyway, we'll put a link to Zarda's in the show notes, and somewhere to check out in Kansas City.
So let us know if you have a favorite Kansas City barbecue. By the time you tell us, we'll be leaving Kansas City, but I'm sure we'll be back another time.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll definitely be back here. Well, this week's RV of the week is, we have something brand new for all of you. We have a new video RV review every week. There's our commitment. That includes something else we've developed, the RV report card.
Yeah.
And so this week, the first one, last week we shared with you the Thor hybrid motorhome. That didn't really have an RV report card because it was really a prototype. This is also a prototype, but closer to production. And it's a Riverside Retro cab-over trailer called the 145 BT. And so we will put a link to that review, but check it out. It's a cute trailer that has a vintage look, but is really fully modern. So something to check out, and check out our new RV report card. Let us know what you think of that.
Yeah. Quick reminder, we are still collecting stories for the Halloween episode, our least popular but most favorite episode of the year.
Yeah.
So if you have a nice spooky camping story, please let us know. You can email us at happycamper@stresslesscamping.com, or you can reach us in all those social places we always talk about.
Yep.
And if you have something, and if you'd like to read it to us,
ooh, yeah,
and it can be in your voice instead of ours, even better. Last week, on our question of the week, I asked how you feel about non-resident park camp fees. Now, most of the responses understood, and, I think I mentioned last week, as a resident of a state, some of your taxes that you're paying go to the state park maintenance. And so you're already kind of paying that extra fee. And so most people understand that, and they don't mind a small, not unreasonable extra fee. I mean, somebody said that one state that they won't go to anymore to state parks like doubles the fee, which makes it more expensive than a campground. So, Anyway, Brian, though, his comment was really smart. He said that the way they should do it is charge a fee, and if you live in state, you get a discount, rather than tacking on an extra fee if you don't live in state. It just turns out the same, but it just sounds better. But as Tony pointed out, the government's not really that good at marketing.
Not really.
So thank you all for your answers on that. This week, I wanted to know if you would please share your funniest camping memory.
Yeah, this is going to be good.
We've had some good laughs recently. Tony and I probably have different answers, so I think we'll each have to go into the group and answer these questions ourselves and tell our stories. But I expect some good belly laughs.
Absolutely.
And I can't wait to read your hilarious camping stories.
And you can answer that question and ask your own and such on our fun and friendly Stressless Campers Facebook page. Group. For Stressless Campers Facebook group. Yeah.
Also, you can sign up for the newsletter anywhere on the website, in the bottom of every page, sometimes embedded in the middle of a story. You never know where you're going to find it.
Yeah.
A chance to sign up for a once a week newsletter that is free and has links to stories and videos and podcasts and anything that we find that we think will help you.
Reviews.
RV reviews. Anything that we think that will help you get the most out of your RV experience.
Yeah, just visit our website and sign up there. It's free. We never sell your information. None of that. You will also find on our website the show notes for this episode, which is episode number 277 on the podcast page at StressLessCamping.com.
And then on the deals and discounts page at StressLessCamping.com, you'll find the best deals on things you'll need for your stressless camping adventure.
Oh, and if you've got a great deal for our audience, let us know.
Let us know, period.
Yeah.
Of course, we are on all those social places I talked about. You can start by looking at StressLessCamping.com, and when you've read through all the pages that we mentioned, you can jump off. On the top right corner are all the links to the social places where we are.
Woohoo! And if you don't want to miss a future episode of the Stressless Camping Podcast, it is free to subscribe on any podcast app. Or if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe there. That's also free. Wow, it's like a free bonanza.
Free for all.
Yeah. So we are always saving you a seat around our virtual campfire.
We do ask, though, that you remember that a review really, really helps us and helps others find the podcast and helps others find the YouTube channel. And the more listeners and watchers we have, mean we can get more guests so that you can listen to someone other than us.
Yeah.
So thank you, all of you who have written a review. And if you haven't, I'll help you word it if you want.
Sample reviews.
Here's a sample.
Yeah.
Copy and paste. I'm kidding, of course. But if you would please write us a review, and if you've written a review already and you still want to help, you can share. You can share things that we write on the website. You can share things that we post on Facebook or in all the social places and just share those with others. You can use links from our website to answer questions that you see in the social places. And sharing is caring, and sharing helps us an awful lot as well.
It sure does. So, well, we appreciate you. We appreciate that you're back again this week. It was great meeting some of you last week.
Yes.
That was pretty awesome. And with that, we wish you stressless camping.